sure that we're all in the same mind space of what everything does for the body, and we start off there. So, let's start off with the basics of protein. We have three main macros. There's a fourth that's alcohol. It's there. It doesn't really help your body. It's some socialization in that. So, let's talk about these three. Protein are the building blocks of your body, so you have to have enough protein in your body to not only repair your cells and replace tissues as they get damaged, but also then to build muscle if that is your goal. So that's why we talk about protein. Protein is one of our main macros that we discussed. Carbs, that's your main energy source. Fats, they help with cell structure and they also help with hormones. So that's how your hormones are going to make their way through your body. So if you're deficient in any of these, you're going to have difficulty repairing injury. You're going to have some low energy. And with fats, it can disrupt the hormone balance of the body. So those are our main three that we discussed. And moving on from that, we also then talk about some triangles. You're going to notice the theme here with triangles. The first one, you have three different areas of focus that people generally go for. Health, performance, or aesthetics. The reason it's a triangle is you can kind of go between these two, but then you might be giving up performance. If you go for performance, all the way towards performance, you're going to be giving up some health and some aesthetics. Same if you go for aesthetics. If you go all the way over here, think like a bodybuilder getting ready to do a competition on stage. When they're getting into their prep season for that, their only focus is how well they present themselves for the work they put in. So health goes in the back of the mind, performance goes in the back of the mind. The reason we're bringing this up is you want to pick one of those to aim for. You can go through different seasons of life, but if you try to do all three at once right here in the middle, you probably don't really get anywhere. That's where a lot of people get stuck. They might want to improve their health. They also might want to look like they have some definition. And so if their focus is I want to get as lean as possible, but they also want to perform their best in the gym, those three all end up suffering. So that's why we talk about seasons of life. Get it home? So, seasons of life, they change with your priorities. And that not only means with your goal, but also the season of your life. So, when I was 22, I didn't have kids, I wasn't married, I could focus on these a lot more precisely than I could now. I could focus on sleep, stress management, recovery, nutrition. I didn't say nothing about it, but I had the time to do that. Now with the kids, sometimes sleep ends up going out the window a little bit because children. You try to maximize what you can, but it is sometimes difficult to realize that that's changed a little bit. So if your priorities have changed, your lifestyle has changed, but the mindset hasn't changed with the season, that can also lead to frustration. Anybody feel that before? Like, oh crap, now I've got a career, I've got kids, I've got a family, I don't have time to go to the gym, but try to find a way to do that will help the rest of your life as well. So, seasons of life, basics. Once that's kind of figured out, we can start getting very deep into deep stress and recovery, which is our main topic for today. Notice this is the base of this pyramid. CrossFit has a pyramid of fitness. Their base is nutrition, and they're starting to add sleep stress management into that. But nutrition, metabolic conditioning, gymnastics, training, and sport. So essentially, what they're looking at is how you fuel your body first, matters. How you move your body for your cardiovascular system, how healthy your cardiovascular system is. Gymnastics, how much control you have. Training, that's your strength training, how strong you are, and then sport at the top. So you build those up. They're building those. If nutrition is suffering, the top's going to suffer. So if your goal is to be a competitive athlete, and these aren't in line, it's going to be a very difficult path. So going further down into that sleep stress recovery, that ends up controlling everything. If you aren't resting, if you aren't recovering, stress is out the window. It makes everything else more difficult. Even with good nutrition, you can still make some progress, but it won't be as beneficial as if you try to optimize your sleep, stress, and take some time away from the gym. What ends up happening with CrossFit a lot is we get so into the competitive nature of, like, we're going to be here 5 times a week, 6 times a week. Then maybe it becomes 7 times a week. Well, when are you recovering? And recovery should be something you consider as part of your training as well. Without recovery, the muscles can't repair. Injury risk goes up. Mood can go down because you're not getting sleep. Sleep helps you with healing. Your body composition might not be changing as much as you want because stress ends up throwing the balance off of what your goals are. And that leads to this continuum here. Sickness, wellness, fitness. So a lot of people that do not focus on any of this are living more on this end of that spectrum towards sickness. As we get into eating better, moving better, sleeping better, taking better care of ourselves, we move that needle towards wellness. And wellness and fitness in that range is a good goal to get to. If you can get your needle to move to wellness, you're going to feel better. It does decrease risks of chronic illnesses. It helps manage those illnesses and diseases that you might have. If you have an autoimmune disease, getting into that wellness category can help manage that. You have allergies, you have asthma. Again, moving towards wellness will help that. Moving past it into fitness, at some point does have some diminishing returns, because if you're pushing yourself, you're moving down this way towards that, health does have some decreased benefits from there, going into full fitness. Past that, moves back to sickness. So hanging out here, getting into CrossFit, still managing stress and nutrition, will keep you moving through your life. Now, when it comes to deep stress recovery, our main topic today is physical. But I'm also going to cover emotional, environmental, social, and mental. Let me grab my notes real quick. If we're talking about physical stress, what are some physical stressors that you guys can think of? Birth. All right. Birth. Or exercise. Job. Your job can be physically demanding. What about injury and illness? Forgive my hand. I will translate if anybody asks questions. All right. So, the other part of this, physical, could be overtraining. This is where I'm going to bring Stephen into this. We're going to mention diminishing returns. Too much of a good thing can be a negative. So if those are our physical stressors, what's some ways to recover from them? You got some good instincts. Resting. Cold plunge. Recovery methods. What do you think?
I said I'm using Steve.
Yes, rehab. And then decreased volume of training. I know, that's why I put it up there. I put it there because you said it. So those are some good ways to balance out some physical recovery. Those are good ideas. Decreasing volume can be difficult. Because with decreasing volume, it can increase your stress. Not physical stress, but emotional and mental stress. Because a lot of times there's that thought in the back of the mind, if I stop training, if I take a day off, I lose progress. On that note, how long did it take to get from maybe where you started to where you are now? Things didn't change overnight, right? weight didn't increase overnight, decrease overnight. It took time. Same thing with this. When it comes to decreasing your volume in the gym, you might actually see better results because you're recovering. Like base stuff here. So, next topic, emotional stress. What's some emotional stressors?
Kids.
Okay, so. Anxious moments throughout the day. Work. Demands of just life in general. You can work on your emotional state. Some other options. Some other things, there would also be self-regulation, poor self-regulation. So if you let your emotions get the best of you, that can start consuming your day. What was that? What was that?
Take care of them.
Yeah. Yeah. Caregiver burnout. Who's in healthcare or currently takes care of a loved one themselves? That's a big, big stressor for that field. All right, let's talk about some recovery for that. How can you manage? We're trying to write this. Nice one. So what's the recovery for emotional stress?
And sometimes it's a focus on the actual nutrition part of it because the physical part can't be done if you're being a caregiver for someone, you can't leave.
Sure.
So you have to put focus where you can.
Focus on what you can control. Some time to decompress. Step away from things for a little bit. Delegate, yeah. Share some of that responsibility if you can. And then also, with emotional and mental, I'll give you bonus for mental recovery. Has anybody done breathing exercises? Breathing exercises.
I don't do it as regularly as I'd like to, but
And you notice when you do it, it kind of helps kind of calm that down, right? Yeah. Because breathing gives us something to focus, reduces our heart rate, increases oxygen levels. All right. Let's talk about some environmental stress. Give you guys a hint on this. When I talk about sleep and best ways to manage sleep environment, one of the things I talk about is how dark the room is, how quiet the room is. Sometimes, even when it's not about sleep, sometimes it's just the volume of the environment you're in. Lights. So if you work in an office building, having that constant fluorescent light over your head. And then sometimes it could also be safety. If it's a high stress situation, if you're out hiking, decide to do some rock climbing, that's an environmental stress. Climbing up that rock wall. Even if I was hooked into a harness, I would probably be having a panic attack. Be too far to go. Recovery for this. Recovery for environmental. Really, just trying to reduce the amount of that. So try to get to a quiet area. Or have a quiet moment in the day. Sometimes that might be driving home. If you work in an environment that's really loud, going home in silence could be a good thing. Throw on our favorite podcast, favorite music playlist. And then also trying to get access to safety. Social. What's some social stress? I'm just gonna throw it there. It's already been talked about. Work. Work covers most of these, doesn't it? But social. You have work. What about relationships, whether it's family, romantic, social gatherings, friends. Those relationships can be good and negative stress. Because there's positive and negative stress. Even the positive feeling of exercise is a physical stress from the body. Crowds, yeah. Gosh, Black Friday. Christmas.
Costco.
Or yeah, just go to Costco. Yeah. All right. So recovery methods for social stress. Mitigation of that situation. Instacart. But then I have the mental stress of, are they going to pick out the right thing that I want? Sometimes with this social, it could be a change in your friend circle. Going back to seasons of life. Sometimes our friends and our social circles might not match up with our current goals. And that might be something that has to change. Especially if it's according to this. And then also just that's what I want. Affirming relationships versus toxic. That can be very hard to move out. Sometimes that takes more than what coaching can offer. All right, mental. What are some mental stresses? I'm just going to say the word. Anything else?
Chores.
Yours. That works. All right, that covers everything. We're done for the day. But also, we've talked a lot about things that are just around us. But if we start going internal, self-doubt. And it's close enough. Wow. All right. This is why I never took notes well at school. But also, cognitive impairments. Later in life, with changes in cognition, somebody who's beginning to experience the first stages of Alzheimer's and dementia, it's pretty stressful when you realize what's happening. Hopefully one day we have a cure. But also, neurodivergence. There's a lot of talk around ADHD and how that can be a very mentally stressing situation. Along with other things. Sometimes bilingual, if you're bilingual. Because you can speak those languages, sometimes going back and forth between them in different situations you're in can be stressful. Alright, so recovery. Recovery for mental stress. Do we have any thoughts? Okay. Yeah. Therapy is a valid option. Delegate. Especially if you're getting caregiver burnout, trying to grab somebody else to help with that situation. Yeah. Sometimes it's medication. And that can also, medication could be used as treatment for a lot of these. And then when it comes to the last one, talk about self-image. Giving yourself grace. When it comes to giving yourself grace, a lot of self-reflection on where you started and where you've got. This is one that I run into a lot with myself and with clients that I work with for nutrition, is things aren't where I want them to be. Like you step back and look at where you started versus where you are now. They start looking at those small wins, they start stacking up an app. So, we have some ideas here on what causes stress, what helps with recovery. Let's talk some strategies on sleep and stress management real quick. So go back to sleep. A good sleep environment will definitely benefit your quality of sleep. If you're in a noisy, bright area, anybody work night shift? Yeah, makes it real tough during the daytime to sleep, right? Anytime I've worked night shift, I come home, I cannot sleep. I'm wide awake. The lights are on, sun's out, noise is outside. But some ways around that. I know Bruce does this all the time. IMAX. It's a legit strategy. It works. It helps.
You all should get one. If anybody wants to see.
We'll start posting pictures at the end of this.
Sabrina too. Sabrina always was on.
IMAX?
I have one too, that way is it.
Best thing you
Nice.
can buy.
I have a weighted one. Yeah.
A weighted IMAX?
Weighted, yeah, just like not like that.
Yeah.
You know, the weighted blanket, so it
I love it.
Because the weighted blanket I've seen before. Like,
Not a
that's
weighted
cool.
one, no.
Oh, okay.
I can't. I feel like that's like two different eyes, but every time I'm going to bed, that eye mask is on.
So, keep things dark, right? When it comes to noise, there's two options I'll do. Sometimes, I only use one earplug because of our kids, but if I put an earplug in my ear and I lay down, I'm inevitably going to end up rolling over sometimes in the night, but it helps me get to sleep. The other is I use brown noise. So most people have heard of white noise, right? Brown noise is a little bit lower frequency. Think more like a distant rumble versus like a fan being in your room, because a fan's a good version of white noise. But brown noise for me helps a lot. Research there, brown noise goes to helping the brain kind of calm itself down. The first time I did it, I was laying in bed trying to sleep, and my brain couldn't think, and it was the weirdest feeling ever. And I don't know if that was placebo effect or what, but it worked. I got to sleep. But room temperature. Room temperature plays a big part too. Who likes a hot room? Right. At night, 60s is usually a good spot to be. I don't mean like 60 itself, but mid to upper 60s is usually a good spot for sleep because the cooler temperature helps you relax a little bit. But then if you're like me, you put a blanket on, stick your foot out. Weird balance. So, room temp, lights, noise for sleep. Having a bedtime routine. Try to go to bed at the same time. Helps a lot. Now, that doesn't always work with kids. And today I have a great example of practice what I preach, not what I actually do, because last night I did not sleep. But try to go to bed at the same time can be very helpful. They might be setting an alarm. I've used the bedtime alarm as an option for some clients I work with on set it for half an hour before you want to go to bed. The alarm goes off, it's time to set things down, quiet down, brush teeth. If you shower, if you're one who showers for bed, get your shower in, head to bed. A warm shower can help too. And then when it comes to stress management and recovery, there's a lot of things you can do for stress. It's going to be very dependent on you, but some very common things are going to be going for a walk, music, meditation, massage. Those are all very good stress relievers. When it comes to individual action plans, maybe for you it's playing a video game for a lot of time. That's also very easy to get sucked into and ends up being hours, and then next thing you know, it's now 1 a.m. and you were trying to go to bed at 10. So watch that too. But stress management and sleep, those two will help everything else. Again, you can still do a lot of nutrition. But you start here, it's going to make things better. And before you start worrying about, I need to add this supplement, add this routine, cold plunges are great for recovery tools. But if you're not sleeping, maybe you should focus there first before you buy a cold plunge. Not that that might not help. Cold plunges can be useful. Whenever you use that as a example, maybe instead of trying to add a sleep aid, maybe try to eat more nutritiously during the day. All that will add to overall health. Now, when it comes to physical stress and recovery, sometimes we push our training too far. That's why I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Stravinsky.
Yeah, oh yeah, we're gonna turn it around. Pick this up. Alright. So, sure. Tell you a little bit about myself. I am a chiropractor and I am a clinical exercise physiologist. So it just means I really like movement, but I really only studied it in a lab. So, I do it outside of the lab, but, other little confession about me. I think this is important to know. I got a B in public speaking, so hang in there with me, right? This will be okay. So, time got to address the really important stuff. I can talk about the fun stuff. So when we look at Tom calls them triangles, I call them pyramids. At the bottom you have nutrition and sleep, which Tom dove into quite a bit there, right? Lots of good information. And this is the part that you really need to dial in. The part I talk about is stuff like, hey, this can help you, and then this can also help you, but only when we dial in this, okay? So keep that in mind as I go through this. So first up, next most important thing is going to be movement. Knowing how to move, knowing when to move, and knowing when to implement both of them. So, lay out some pretty easy guidelines. How many people worked out today? Yeah, sweet. Yeah, everybody did it. So, I'll go through these, and then we'll talk about that some more. First one we're going to talk about is performance. When we're moving to perform, how we're going to describe that is the only thing I care about while I'm working out or doing the movement is the only thing I care about is the outcome. I don't care about how it feels. I don't care about like, this could really hurt me tomorrow. I care about like, I'm doing this right now, right? How many people were performing in today's workout? That's good. That's very good. Next one is going to be training. This is where I push myself, but I did not max out. There's a stimulus I was trying to get. I'm trying to breathe hard. I'm trying to push myself to a threshold point, but it's not the absolute farthest I could possibly go. And then the final one is recovery, and this is when I am moving, but I could probably hold a conversation. Like I could talk to you like this while I'm doing it. Okay? So how many people were recovering in today's workout? I know I was not. I was honestly probably like in the middle right here. Like I was like, oh. But that's just because I partnered with Sabrina and she likes to push me. How many people were training today? Yeah. So everybody worked out, you got into that training. But that's perfect. That's right where we want to be. But the part we're going to focus on today is going to be this recovery category. Okay? First thing we need to know about recovery category is we need to know when we need to do it. So reasons to recover, I even made this easy, so I'll still ask you guys questions on like, hey, when do you think you need to recover? Right? So when do you think you need to recover? So what are some reasons you would recover? Or need to do some recovery movement? Anyway? You did murder. You did murder. You have an injury. Any other ones? Okay. Right there. Number one reason I'm gonna be like, hey, you know what? I should probably take some time to do some recovery movement, some lower intensity movement, because I'm abnormally sore. Like, this is not how I feel when I'm feeling healthy, right? I get out of bed and I'm like, whoa, that's bad, right? I go to wash my hair and I'm like, I think I'm gonna stop here today. That's good. I'll get this out. Right? That's abnormally sore. We should probably not work out that day. We shouldn't work out to train to perform. We should probably do some recovery movement. Okay? I'm not calling anyone out, right? Number two, I have a decrease in performance. So let's take today's workout, for example. Normally, I can do shoulder to overhead with a kettlebell, and I can do it at the prescribed 53 pounds with a kettlebell, right? It's no big deal. I can probably do sets of 10. It's fine, right? Today, I come in and I had a super hard workout yesterday. We did 100 burpee box jumps for time yesterday, which wasn't even the hardest part of the workout. Ridiculous, right? Bruce.
I agree with you.
That was my recovery day.
But so we did that, and then we came in today, and we're doing kettlebell shoulder to overhead, and I get to 5, and I'm like, oh no, that's what I have today. I'm gonna set this down, take a moment. That's a decrease in performance. That's abnormal from what I can normally do. So I should probably say, hey, tomorrow, maybe I need to slow down a little bit, and I need to do some recovery movement. Okay? Everybody on board with that? And then the final one, this one dives into all that stuff that Tom was talking about. So when I have a change in my ability to tolerate stress, I have a change in my ability to sleep, or I have a change in my appetite. These are honestly the biggest indicators of like, hey, I absolutely 100% need to take a recovery day. Sometimes when we're abnormally sore, we can get away with it. Like Renee coming in today and be like, I'm going to work out anyways, right? Even though you're pretty sore today. But she worked out anyways, she got away with it, right? She probably should do some recovery movement tomorrow. Same thing, a decrease in performance. If I have a slight decrease in my performance, like say I'm doing a 2-day competition, I'm sore from the first day of competition, second day we're doing a max lift and I can't quite hit what I normally can, it's a decrease in performance, but I can get away with it. This one, we can't really get away with. This is one where absolutely 100%, if I am in this category, I need to take a recovery day, okay? So I'm having a hard time falling asleep. Normally I can fall asleep in like 10 minutes, and it's taking 45 minutes. I'm just tossing and turning the whole time. You need to take a recovery day. Appetite, nothing sounds good, not even ice cream, not even cereal. What are favorite foods? Pizza, what? Pasta, there we go, yeah. Anybody else have one? Favorite foods? Ice cream's my biggest one. Donuts. See, like I know everybody's on the donut train, but ice cream's where it's at. We might be onto something. Talk to me afterwards. But none of those foods that I normally really enjoy eating, none of them sound good. I could probably eat like half of a donut if I'm Tom, and Tom can normally polish like 3 or 4, right? Like, I absolutely 100% need to take a recovery day. Or another one, I'm going to work. Normally I can tolerate my coworkers for 10 minutes of small talk. Today it's 3, right? Like, hey, I probably need to take a recovery day. I probably need to take, let's do some lower intensity stuff today, okay? Nice. I cannot advocate for calling in sick and taking days off of work. I can't write doctor's notes, so maybe we can get away with it, right? Possibly, we'll see. I don't know. So, if we're in this category, 100%, we need to take a recovery day that day, okay? So what does that look like? What does a recovery day or moving to recover look like? So we kind of already dove into it. I'm moving, but I could hold a conversation with you the whole time, okay? So who has some ideas of like, what is a movement we could do that's moving, but I'm recovering the whole time? Like I can talk to you, it's fine. Go for a walk, perfect. Cycling, biking, yeah, being on your bike, low intensity biking, that's fine. Yoga, yeah, nice and easy. I'm moving through it, I'm recovering. My muscles are still moving, they're still warming up, I'm getting blood pumping, but I'm not dying like by the end of today's workout. Like we got done and we had like 9 minutes left for today's workout to do the final row. And we were doing 1 minute increments. I literally laid on the ground for my entire minute, like that I had off, like every single time. I was like, tell them, I still need some recovery tomorrow. But anyways, so that's more of what we're looking for in recovery. I can hold the conversation the whole entire time. So some rules for success, like if I do this, I'm probably more likely to be successful in my recovery strategy. So how many people here would consider themselves a very good runner? Nobody. Right? Like, I have yet to meet one, right? Not even, yeah, I don't know, I haven't met one. But, so who would here pick running for the recovery day? Like, if you're running at any pace, are you going to be breathing harder than I could hold a conversation, right? Or you're going to be like talking like, man, I'm having really fun on this run, right? Like, nobody's doing that. So, if we're at that point, then don't pick running, right? Running's a bad idea. Don't pick running. Or if we're in the gym, and we can pick between ski, bike, or row. And last time I did row, I was rowing super slow, and I was still breathing really hard. Rowing is not your best recovery option. Pick like bike, go for the walk, do some yoga, something like that. Lower intensity, where I can hold that conversation the entire time. Other thing that helps with this a lot is have a buddy. So have a workout buddy. Pick somebody who you can do this recovery movement with. So you can actually talk to them and hold yourself accountable. If you get to the point where if you guys just stop talking, not because you ran out of things to say, then you're probably going too hard. Slow it down, pick up the conversation again. Okay? Everybody on the same page with that? Sweet. Anybody else have some ideas for strategies?
I just want to say that we tried to say that we're going to come into a class is like a recovery day.
Yes.
And I highly do not recommend. It's actually super hard to get yourself to do like a Metcon slow.
Yeah, it's
Like,
impossible.
sometimes you just gotta not come to class, unfortunately.
Yeah, or like yesterday, 100 burpee box jumps for time. Saying that like, hey, you know what? It's 15-minute cap. I'll just work for 15 minutes, nice and slow. Probably not a good strategy because that's not going to turn into recovery. You're going to end up going faster. I tend to apply that also to anything lifting. So I don't know about you guys, but whenever I start lifting, I always am like, I could probably do more, right? And so it quickly turns into like, I'm gonna move easy to like, I'm gonna keep adding weight to this bar and see what happens. And then next thing I know, I'm failing stuff. So lifting in general, I think is not a great recovery movement. So we tend to stick to things that are like nice and easy, right? More cardio-based types of things. Yoga is great, but be careful with like the type of yoga, right? So we're picking something more like a slow vinyasa rather than, don't pick hot yoga. If you just sweated out everything in your body in the middle, like for your recovery session, you probably didn't recover. Like now you have to go back to this part of the pyramid, and now you have to recover everything, right? So we need to be on top of all of our micronutrients, all of our electrolytes again, because we actually depleted ourselves rather than built ourselves back up. Cool. Everybody on the same page for that? So recap, we want to be successful using movement for recovery. Number one, we're going to pick something we're good at, right? We're not going to pick something that like is sometimes a challenge for us. Number two, we're going to work out with a buddy, okay? And then the final thing, and this is really important here, is we need to make sure we're in the right time frame. So if I all of a sudden, I'm like, you know what, I'm feeling pretty good, I'm on the bike today, and then I sit on there for 30 minutes, and I'm like, I go another 10, and I go another 10 minutes, and next thing I know, I'm at like 75 minutes on the bike. Guess what? You did the exact same thing. Now you have to go back to nutrition and sleep. You need to replenish yourself because that was too taxing. So the time domain we're actually looking for is more of like 20 to 30 minutes is our absolute ideal. But that upper limit, no matter what, is 40 minutes. We cannot go past 40 minutes, right? So that walk or whatever you're doing, it cannot be longer than 40 minutes. Okay? Everybody on the same page there? One day. There's hope, I don't know. Everybody pray for me. So next thing we get to talk about, we get to go to that top of the pyramid. So for today, I put rehab up there because when I talk about rehab, I'm including movement in this. So today we're going to talk about more of like our soft tissue modalities. So what are some things you guys do to help you recover like soft tissue wise? So what is it? Foam roll, perfect, foam roll. Stretching, yeah. Anybody go to a massage therapist? Everybody, yeah, people get massages, right? Dry needling, right? All that fun stuff, cupping, all the fun stuff that I do. Anyways, that's fun. So rehab stuff. Today we're going to primarily focus on things that are more soft tissue based. So we're talking about massage, dry needling, cupping, foam rolling still. I like that one too. That's a good one. Okay? And when we're talking about those, all of them, we're using them to address one primary thing. I actually didn't write it up here, so you guys are gonna have to guess. What are we gonna address with that? Anybody have an idea? Mobility, kind of, yeah. In the same boat. We're gonna talk about the problems that our bodies are super, super, super cheap, right? They don't like to do anything that they don't have to do. So when you give them the opportunity or the free range to recover however they want to, they're going to do it in a very static area, and they're going to stiffen you right up, right? So you do a hard workout and then you sit still, it's going to tighten you up right in that position because it's way easier and way cheaper to make tissues recover in one motion or one plane of movement than doing a squat over and over again. That's super expensive. That costs a lot of calories. That costs a lot of resources from your body. So your body doesn't like to do that. So when we're talking about these soft tissue modalities, so dry needling, cupping, massage, all those fun things, we're addressing that our body is super cheap, and we're forcing it to be like spend a little bit of money, right? Spend a little bit. And how we're doing that is we're increasing the time that our tissues are pliable. Okay, so right after you work out, how many people feel more stiff after a workout? No, you usually don't. You feel stiff at the beginning of the workout, you get done with the workout, and now you're stiff. And now your body slowly starts to go back towards stiffening out. Okay. When we do one of these things, we're increasing that amount of time without movement that you're not stiff. So increasing the amount of time that we're pliable, or we're increasing the amount of time that we're actually in that time frame where we can heal in a dynamic way. Okay? So if I'm super stiff and you come in and we needle it a whole bunch, that tissue is now very pliable, it can stretch super easy. It's kind of like you just worked out. And so it gives us this opportunity to make it heal in a more dynamic motion rather than sitting still. Okay? Things we have to keep in mind with this is this only works if we then apply the next category in the pyramid, right? So if we do the dry needling or whatever, and then we hop on down, we're like, I'm gonna go home and sit still, right? We did the exact same thing as if we just worked out and then went home and sat still. I tightened right back up, okay? So it was almost like you just went and got to spend money for nothing, right? It was useless. So the thing we have to remember is as we go through this pyramid, these really only work if we stack them on top of each other, right? Moving doesn't really work too well if I haven't eaten in 3 days and I've only slept like 5 hours, right? It doesn't work very well, okay? And then on top of that, rehab doesn't work if I'm not gonna move and I'm not gonna go home and eat and sleep, okay? So when we're going through this, things we have to remember, these are all really great tools, but we always have to come back to this nice little pyramid and we have to stack everything on top of each other, okay? So after we do some type of soft tissue, whether it be massage, I know we always wanna like take I don't know, personally, I always wanna take a nap after I get a massage. Anybody else in the same boat? Yeah, I'm so sorry. But you can't do that. You need to go home. Do some low intensity movement. Your body will thank you. It'll increase that pliability. It'll increase the chances of your body healing in a more dynamic fashion that will set you up for the future. Okay? So recap really quick. When do we need to recover? We need to recover when we're abnormally sore, when we have a decrease in performance, or when we have a change in our sleep or appetite. Okay? How are we going to do that? We're going to do that with no more than 40 minutes, but ideally 20 to 30 minutes of some type of cardiovascular exercise. So we're moving at a low intensity. I can hold a conversation with a friend the entire time. Okay? If I still want a little bit of an extra health recovery because I have an injury or because I'm trying to work out more than a normal human, then we get into this category of rehab, and that's where we stack this on top of the other things in order to get the maximum benefit that we can. Okay? And these only work in the order that they're in the pyramid. So we need to have our sleep and nutrition dialed in first. We need to have our movement before we do our rehab. Okay? Or after we do our rehab. So that's all I have for today. I'm not super long-winded, so we'll open it up. Questions, and then we'll do our best, absolute best to answer. Does that sound good? Cool. Any questions? Okay. Well, thank you for coming out. Thank you for hanging out with us. Feel free to stick around, chat afterwards, and yeah, introduce yourself. Thank you.
Great to meet you guys. Doctor.
Yeah. It is not.
So if anybody has any questions, feel free to bug us. We're here.
Who's that?